And Seth, you go talk now.
Yeah, I'm over here. Hello, I am Seth from Game That Cosplay. Welcome to the show. Tonight I'm going to be working on brute staff some more, and when I get tired of working on this thing tonight, I'll probably be working on Buster Sword a little bit more.
And I will be working on Weiss's outfit from RWBY for my fashion design final. So that will be horrendous fun. I have a love-hate relationship with Seth.
Just to kind of fill everyone in on what all they missed out on screen or off screen throughout the week. Last weekend, I kind of worked on shaping up this part here a bit more. I've been calling it the handle place because it's actually where the character really holds the staff. Since then, I've actually attacked it with my Dremel and gotten all these pretty little details in it. Gotten all of this stuff routed out here.
It looks like it's not even showing on YouTube. It says it's streaming on the thing, but it's not showing up on YouTube.
It's working.
It's going. It's going? Okay. Well, I just look like a dumbass. Welcome to Dezzy looking like an idiot because she doesn't understand technology.
But this is kind of how it's coming along, and I really wish my lighting in here did not suck as much as it did, because you really can't even see the details here. Let me actually try something real quick.
Well, while he's working on that, let me talk to you a little bit about what I've been doing. I've been working on Weiss's jacket, her alternate outfit for RWBY. So with that, I customized the pattern. This is on 1x1 grid pattern paper. You can buy this on Amazon for $60 for the roll. The thing is, I have used this roll continuously for about 6 months, and it doesn't even look like I've touched it. So if you're a constant pattern designer, it will last and last and last. So it's well worth the investment. If you live in the Colorado area, Colorado Fabrics in Littleton, they actually sell it as well in an 8-yard packet for $8.95, and they will ship it to you as well. You just gotta give them a call. And I love Colorado Fabrics. They have beautiful bridal fabrics.
There we go. Now you can actually see most of the details here. This is actually routed and sanded down up here. Actually, so this looks more like an overlay. I did it the hard way. Instead of actually doing an overlay, is I still don't have a really good way to attach EVA on here. Hot glue will melt through it because high temp is what actually works well with it. Yeah, foam bubble man melts straight through this crap. And so does contact cement. Maybe when I actually can get my hands on some of the pages, press tight green contact cement, if that's actually what it's called, I can actually work on it with that and save myself some headache. This part here is actually the shaped up plumber's putty or epoxy putty. That's what it is. On here, I've shaped it up a bit more, and then this part up here has been sanded down smooth. And what I've been working on a bit tonight, or this week, the other day, I actually clamped 3 of these pieces together. Basically, I did the same thing I did.
You gotta clamp them.
Yeah, with my complex and very high-tech clamping system of paint buckets. whatever works, right?
Hey, if it works, it works. Who said we had to be high tech?
But I kind of put that all on there, just like I did the top piece there. There's one of my other streams that I did where I actually showed off kind of clamping that all together and then moving on to my Buster Sword for that night. This has kind of been grabbing all of my attention all week to be working on this thing. But the other night I clamped this up similarly. I actually just started cutting up this a little while ago and started shaping it up. The point here is probably going to be pulled off so I can make it with epoxy money. That way, if it hits anything, it won't break so easily. Or dents or whatnot. At the very least, I'll round it off if I run through the epoxy putty thing. But and this is due to a CeliaCon. You guys are actually going to be there. My friend Melissa will be Groot. She'll be the one walking around like a badass carrying this thing. But without further ado, I'm actually get back to work on this thing and turn my lights back on.
Alrighty, right now I'm cutting the interfacing pieces for the undercollar. I would have prepared it beforehand normally, I just didn't this time around, since I've never explained what interfacing was for you guys. So let me do that. First let me unpin, so I can show you my pattern piece. It's noted on my pattern to cut 2 of fabric and 2 of interfacing. The fabric is obviously the base material of my coat dress, which is suiting fabric, so it's polyester wool blend. And then I'm using fusible interfacing, which is used to give the garment stability. It has these little glue bubbles on the reverse side to adhere to the fabric, so you can give it the nice firm stability it needs, so it can hold together, add the weight and body it requires. So I'm going to take this to my ironing board and press. I'll press that down nice and flat first before I adhere my lovely interfacing. Protection. Safety first. And I'm going to place both pieces down. And you're going to adhere the wrong side of the interfacing to your wrong side of the fabric. So you're going to place that down. And the wrong side is the one with the glue bubbles. Don't forget that. What I do to help it adhere is to create a little more steam by using some heavy starch, which you can pick up at 99 cents. Or 99 cents at Walmart. So you're going to steam that on. And you have a nice interface piece of fabric. As you can see, it's not floppy and as it was before. And this is for the undercollar of her jacket, so it's going to have more stability. And I like to go over it again on the right side with some steam as well, just to make sure it has a nice stable bond. Let me get my iron all nice and set up. There we go. Let's move this piece. So I've interfaced the under collar. So what I'm going to do for now, so I don't forget what pattern piece it is, I'm going to put them back together like so. And pin it with the corresponding pattern paper that I have. And throw away the little scrap pieces of interfacing that are way too small to do anything with. So it's pretty simple. Interfacing isn't that complex. Really, it just adds nice, firm body and weight to the garment in order for you to have stability and structure. So here we have the side front panel of the dress. I have a lot of pieces for this dress, so give me one moment to make sure I have all assembly. Basting stitch is set at 4 millimeters. Since the first thing we're going to do is stay stitch some seams. So look for, here it is. Here we go. Here is the coat front portion. This has to be stay stitched together, and a stay stitch simply prevents warping of the garment when you wear it. So I'm going to grab my magnetic pin cushion since I'm going to need pins. I use a lot of pins, especially on something that has a princess theme such as this. So hold on one moment and I will be right back. Okay. And one thing too with my pattern, not sure if you can see it, but let me show it to you. Once my pattern is off the paper, pattern off the fabric, I marked where I'm going to put the buttons. So that way I can mark it when I'm going to actually hand sew them on. So let me remove this. I put a lot of pins in the pattern paper that should be put together. And the one benefit too of this dotted pattern paper is that it's not tissue paper, so it does not tear anywhere near as easily, and the pattern will last you a lot longer. I'm going to remove all of the pins. And one thing I like to do when I'm done with my pattern is just fold it, since I know I'm going to be done with this piece for sure. I'm going to fold it and put it on the little side compartment of my desk. And I put this back under my ironing board for a little bit. And the one thing I like about this suiting material is that it's very nice and lightweight, so I feel it will have a nice drape that is very feminine and dainty for Weiss. So before I take it, I'm going to press up any wrinkles. little bit of steam does crinkles out.
Actually doing at this point is I'm just shaping this up all, and I'm trying to make it as cylindrical as I can with my palm sander, simply because it has more of an even sanding and everything. It's a bit fuzzier than my Dremel ends up being, but at the same time, sealing in the process of sealing and everything, or I can file that away. That's no big deal. This actually just works here, but it's not quite as quick as my belt sander that I have over here. And the reason I don't want to use that is because it will shave it away too quickly. You'll notice that I'm just kind of slowly just holding my sander here while I'm rotating this on it. It's kind of a slower process, but it will actually work in this shape where it's just kind of a cone-ish. Is how I'm kind of doing my design, my take on it. I think originally it was supposed to be like more spike at the end, but with my take on it, I'm kind of making it into a cone that kind of goes into this design here, because I thought it looked kind of weird with, it was supposed to cut off about here-ish, and then, then all of a sudden spike. And with the rest of this whole staff flowing the way it does, that didn't really make a whole hell of a lot of sense to me. So,
and one thing we do as commissioners, we tend to take some creative liberties to make it real world accurate.
Basically, yeah, as I've mentioned before, especially with mine, sometimes I modify the crap out of things a bit, to where they come out still looking like the original piece, but at the same time they've been brought into the real world. And also, if somebody is designing a weapon, odds are they can kind of go either way. This is a good jabbing type of end to it. No, you're not as likely to really stab somebody with this kind of thing, but at the same time, if I really wanted to fix it, all I'd have to do is kind of draw out where I want this piece to end here, and then just take my knife to it, and then shape that up that way, which I might do anyways. It's just this feels like it's going to be a lot sturdier than if I go with the original design, which isn't going to be that sturdy, even with the putty. It's still more likely to break because just because it's a smaller, thinner piece. It's just a matter of I'll probably go ahead and ask my client anyways what they want to do. If they tell me to go ahead and do what I want, this is probably going to be the way that I keep it. If they decide they want it the other way, then yeah, I'm going to bring it back to the original simply because they're paying. I want them to be as satisfied as freaking possible. You'll notice right here, some of these pieces, they're not perfectly just flowing up into this. I'm trying to get it as close as I can, but in the end, I'm going to do the same thing as I did up here, and that's all going to be puttied in, right? Like it is right here. Because the actual foam piece, I think, ends about here-ish, and then it just, the rest of this is putty. So, there's there are bound to be imperfections with practice up and multi-layers and everything like that. More proof is actually fixing those before they actually get to the client's hands, or to the convention if it's even my own prompt. So.
Alrighty, what I did here, it's called a stay stitch. So you're sewing a 1/4 inch away from the edge, and that's just to prevent warping in your garment, especially while washing it. It also prevents the seam from moving too much while you sew it. It provides a little extra stability just with sewing structure. So now I'm going to sew the side front to the front part of the bodice, well, of the cut dress. I'm so used to making like formal dresses that I'm used to saying the word bodice even though this isn't a traditional bodice. And I'm going to once again fold this piece since I'm not going to need it anymore, more than likely. Well, not anytime soon during this live stream. Pop that back on the side. Here is the side panel. A princess seam cups around the apex of the bust line for a very flattering fit, especially for those of us who have a bustier figure, so it tends to look a lot nicer. It takes the place of both a bust dart and a waist dart. I dropped some of my stuff. There we go. I'm going to press that. Princess seam anything with a lot of pressing to prevent from warping. You don't have to stay stitch this portion of it.
And as per usual, like she mentioned earlier, safety first, always wear a respirator and safety glasses while sanding this kind of crap. There's a lot of dust, and it is terrible for your lungs.
And now you just pin the garment accordingly. And this is what takes the longest for the princess bodice. So this princess garment is fitting it correctly. And when you're pinning around this princess line, just be very careful to not catch any peckers, since I will kind of ruin the seam before you even sew it. So just be careful to keep a close eye on that. don't be afraid to use as many pins as you want. When we say on industrial machines, we don't use any pins. I still fucking use pins because I'd rather not mess up. So smoothen out along the princess line. The standard seam allowance is 5/8 of an inch. In fashion design, we have a 1/2. So I'll be sewing at 1/2 of an inch. So let me adjust really quickly. And one important thing, basic tip for better sewing. Let me adjust a little bit more of my machine because this positioning is quite awkward. To be completely honest. There we go. Is to back tap. So that's just sewing forward and then going back and then sewing forward again. You can choose to remove your pins as you sew or leave them, it doesn't matter. I tend to sew slowly around the princess line to minimize the amount of work I have to do in terms of cleaning up any seams. So as you can hear, right now I'm going fairly slowly. I'm cleaning up the lines, so I'm kind of pulling a little bit as I go. And removing a couple pins, that way I can lay a little flatter. I'm removing the pins as I go now since I passed the princess line. I can go a lot faster. I can sew at the speed of light. And one thing too, I use a magnetic pin cushion because I'm tired of getting pins in my feet. Once you reach the end, pull and snip your thread. Oh, and it looks like my bobbin is out of thread. And it finished right at the end of the seam. That's a miracle! Normally it finishes like halfway through the seam, but it finished at the seam. Kind of awesome. So I'm going to wind up my bobbin. I'm using an economy roll of Biedermann thread. I love Biedermann thread. It's a little more expensive, but it glides through your machine. It's just a much better quality thread. And one thing too, I mean I can't do it on the live streams, but I normally have my music playing to help out, but do whatever helps you work better. Oh, my spool fell.
This line here is actually to indicate where this part here is supposed to be thicker than this part here. Even though I'm kind of having it curve for the most part into each other and retain the same shape, I do want to go ahead and make that recess.
It looks very suggestive.
Really?
Yes.
You had to go.
I did, because I hadn't seen it until now. I wasn't paying attention.
Oh. Well, fortunately, it won't when it's finished.
But right now it does.
Yeah. Well, here's Dezzy Diamond here. She has won the Maturity Award for 2016.
You know I'm immature sometimes.
Sometimes.
Shut up, babe.
One fucking job.
We have to have some fun on this live stream. If not, it'd get a little boring.
Are you suggesting that I'm not having fun here?
Sanding.
Right?
You know sanding isn't. I can't think sanding's fun.
Really?
I don't have fun sanding.
But then again, this is also why I enjoy making props.
Hmm?
This is also why I enjoy it. I'm the one doing props here.
That's why you're my prop senpai.
But you can also see right here where it's kind of my sander's kind of dug into here a little bit, which is no big deal because I still have to shape this one. For the most part, that's probably going to have to get done with the Dremel. Here because it kind of might take a little bit longer, but at the same time, it's not as the shaping and crap, I get to make that. Dezzy should probably mute her microphone while she's sewing.
I'm not sewing, I'm winding my bobbin, and I don't know how to mute my mic.
Yeah, that is this is actually a better view of the top piece here. Not screwing with the lighting or anything like that. It's kind of how it's turned out. Clean up here and there, but for the most part,
I have a nice round bobbin.
ready for gesso. This one, on the other hand,
Just so you know.
That wasn't even a good pun.
I know it wasn't.
No, that was pretty bad. You need to work on that.
It's been a long day. It's been a rough day.
But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get back to sanding this crap for the rest of my life.
So swearing, sanding, and more swearing. Okay. You have to wind your bobbin every now and then, but I normally just buy them pre-filled. Whatever. I ran out of white bobbins because I use them all of the time. So I throw away that extra thread and rethread my machine. I'm going to finish pulling out the pins that I didn't pull out earlier and check the smoothness of the seam. So far, it looks like I didn't pull anything. So what I'm going to do is remove some bulk. So with that, because my serger is currently out of commission, this also finishes my seam. Since this is a good fabric to actually finish it with, are my pinking shears. Pinking shears were commonly used to finish fabric both in couture and home sewing before sergers were commonplace. And what it does is these little spikes, essentially, they cut the fabric on Weiss, which is the 45-degree angle against the grain, to prevent fraying. So all you do is just cut. And that's how you finish a seam with pinking shears, is by simply cutting it. Isn't that great? I'm going to keep removing bulk from the seam. It tends to take a little bit because the pinking shears, how they are, and these are actually pretty old gainers. So they kind of need to be resharpened, but at the same time, pretty sharp. They just don't cut as quickly as they used to. On certain materials, they're cotton, they're still. Suiting's a little bit heavier, but this is still lightweight suiting, so it's not too bad. I'll update quick reference for myself. And now I'm nearing the end of the seam, so I'm making it so another red from that boyfriend, hopefully. Now that that's clipped, just try to keep your workspace clean. Makes it a little easier. Personally, for me. Move these little guys over. And one thing you want to do is look at how sloppy and ugly the seam looks. So you're going to press it. You can press it to the side, but I like to press my seams. And yes, the one leg up is like totally required because this is structured. I got my nails done. And I'm going to press it open. And so you get a very nice, crisp seam. Keep on keeping on. sometimes finger press to open it. And finger press the curves open. And press the curved points to one side since they don't have a tailor's hand. The tailor's ham is very helpful for your curved seams. Which I must have one. I need one, and I don't know what I did. But you have a much smoother seam line once you press it. So this is the first part. And put this on top of my machine. Slide it down. There we go. Nope, it keeps it. Put that right here.
And like I mentioned before, at some point, safety glasses aren't perfect when you're wearing a respirator. Or not all safety glasses are anyways. These actually kind of suck for small little particles and stuff like that. You might get some in your eye. It never hurts to actually have some eye wash sitting around, or some saline or something like that. I should probably go grab mine, but I usually don't have that issue with this
Material.
Yeah, with this material in general, or actually get this thing done. But you can kind of see how it's shaping up now. Speaking of respirators and glasses, it's actually really hard to talk with one of these things on if you've never worn one before. If you have never worn one of those and you have worked on props, well, spray painting anyways, shame on you.
I've never worn a respirator while spray painting.
You need a respirator if you're going to paint. With spray paint, definitely.
Whoops.
This kind of stuff, a dust mask will kind of cut it. Personally, I just kind of prefer my respirator for everything. But you can kind of see now it's taking more shape. I kind of have that drop off there, that little bit of a recess. And, I could actually still take that and, just take my knife and just kind of get it closer to shape and then really round it up more. I might go ahead and just do that anyways. This piece right here was actually supposed to be straight, but because of how my sander, how wide it is, it's a little bit wider than this piece right here, which is actually why you can see some of this crap here got messed up. So I'll have to fix that up and see how I want to actually repair that. Complex shapes like this are a lot harder to do. If I had a smaller sander or something like that, or if I actually remember to stop by the store and grab a big file on my way home, then I might not have this issue as much. But I kind of like how it's kind of rounded there a little bit more. I might keep that, I might not. I'll figure that out later. But for right now, I'm probably going to keep that. But you can really see here where my sander slipped and really cut in there. I kind of have two options there. I can either repair that with repair putty or Bondo or something later on. I'd prefer the repair putty method over the Bondo, kind of, but it has both have their drawbacks. Bondo I can only do after sealing and everything. Each one of these pieces is going to get about 10 layers of gesso.
Jesus.
That's just to make damn sure it is sealed. They're all very thin layers, and fortunately with gesso, it's acrylic based. So if you've ever worked with acrylic paint before, which if you've ever painted anything, let's be honest, you probably have, you'll also know that it dries really quickly since it's water-based. It dries in like just within minutes, by the time I finish coating this piece and this piece here, by the time this piece is finished, this piece is going to be dry for the most part. But you can't paint it on thick because the gesso is painted on thick.
It'll crack.
Cracks a lot. If I had my, what I was trying to make of my Winter Soldier arm, I could actually show you a pretty good example of how that works out. I actually didn't know that prior to working on that thing, but you live and learn. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at with this thing so far. Man, that would hurt if that was made of steel.
Yeah, it really would.
God, that would hurt. You'll also notice that for the most part, it's kind of instead of round, like cylindrical, it's more ovate. Because with his is more of a battle staff. And from the pictures that I've seen of him holding it, he holds it here and here. I could have actually fixed this to make this more circular, but I wanted it to more kind of flatten up into this more ovate piece, and that's because if you have a circular thing, it's more likely to actually twist on you while you're swinging it. Instead of the ovate piece here, I can't turn this as easily in my hand as I can, this right here. It just goes wherever the hell it wants to. And the reference that's kind of where I see right next spot here. She might have to hold it right here, but even still, it's still ovate a bit. Smaller than I am by a little bit, but it's kind of how that is.
Time to remove all of these pins. Yay.
Also, I do apologize for a couple of minutes. You just kind of see me staring off over here. I'm actually periodically checking to see if there's anybody in the comments or anything like that. Checking to see if anybody's asking me any other questions on Facebook if we're still live or something, or need a link to the page, to the stream or something like that. And also just kind of skimming through my references here and just really taking a look at it to see what is going on. For the most part, I kind of have the shaping in general. I kind of have down. whereas the detail pieces is more of what I actually need the reference opened for. But for the most part, I actually keep our Hangout window open so I can see what the hell I'm doing on screen. Because I'm still getting used to actually doing things on screen. I'm not used to it at all.
No, he is not.
I'm actually going to go ahead and take one of my files and do some filing work here to trim this up. Or true it up, I should say. Because again, the more you can actually get perfect while doing the sanding and everything and actually doing the shaping, the less touch-up and cleanup work you have to do later. Which, cleanup can be tricky because whenever you are filling something and going back to have to sand it, if you sand through it to the foam, you actually have to go back to your whole fun sealing process. I don't want to do that. That sounds like no fun. I will not do a happy dance. I actually did not put enough layers of gesso on my buster sword, so that's happened a couple of times where I've had to go back and clean it.
Why didn't you use like Plasti Dip to seal it?
Plasti Dip is not a very good thing to seal. Actually, my buster sword.
Uh-huh.
You don't want to use Plasti Dip is because you can't sand it. The reason I use gesso is because not only does it make a good sealer, it kind of primes it at the same time, and it's sandable. So all of this, after I do all of this freaking sanding on this thing, I can do the gesso and then sand it some more. And yeah, it'll sand through the gesso, but it'll get all nice and smooth. And so after I actually use Bondo, spot putty, whatever the hell I'm going to use to fill this stuff, to fill everything here, I can actually sand it down and have it down to the gesso, which will be nice and smooth.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I've already made that mistake with Cloud's Buster Sword where I Plasti Dipped it. And another thing with Plasti Dip is Bondo does not adhere to it very well. Plasti Dip and Bondo are not friends. And with something like this, I have to be able to put Bondo or some other type of filler on it. Wood filler is kind of out of the question because wood filler is designed specifically for wood. So it doesn't adhere to other surfaces as well. It's not as good for other things, hence why it's called wood filler. I know it seems pretty obvious, but a lot of people ask me why I use Bondo instead of wood filler. Hell, half the time I use Bondo on wood, but that's because I'm going to paint over it anyways. If I actually want the grains and everything to show, yeah, I'm going to use wood filler. But that's just because I have Bondo available. Wood filler I usually make with sawdust and wood glue.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
I will probably actually end up showing you guys how I usually do that, but kind of carpenter's trick there is take some old sawdust lying around that from crap that you just finished sanding, and mix whole parts of it and wood glue, and there you go. You have the filler paste.
That's pretty cool.
I'd rather make my props out of wood, more durable, easier to work with. Yeah, it requires more power tools, but fuck it, I have power tools to work with and experience using them. And they're heavier, but they're a crap load more durable and don't take as much treatment.
feel like I'm going to finish this faster than I thought I would.
Wouldn't you usually, though?
I normally can finish things very quickly.
I don't know if you guys can actually see it on camera here. Probably not, but there's actually a couple little pits in here from when I was actually sanding into this and actually getting this around. Those can either be from little larger air bubbles in the foam as it was being created, or in my case, it's probably from my palm sander has holes in the sandpaper piece. That's just how they come for some reason. I get it with other sanders. I guess I have no idea because this is Velcro backed, and that's that kind of catching on some of the foam pieces there, which I'm not too worried about it. Again, it's a little spot filler kind of fix. There's not really much I can do about that, but usually don't worry about that kind of thing. For those of you that don't know, this is actually the most complex prop piece I have ever made. I've never done anything like this one before. I've had to work with these materials a bit in the past for doing things. Mostly for like my Fierce DD sword and my Buster sword.
You're amazing, Fierce dealing.
And
First, too shy to talk to you.
And it's more familiar with it again. It actually carves pretty easily. That's been one thing that I've been very thankful for. Wood does not carve as easily. Sometimes you get more blowout with wood. It's a bit harder to patch up than it is on here.
Alrighty. I'm going to stitch the back. The one thing I love about suiting material is it doesn't crinkle that much. So I don't have to do too much ironing. Time to finish with the seams again. Almost all of our friends are anime Matsuri this weekend. Isn't that fun?
I'm actually just trying to show on here, give myself a visual representation of how this would look if I cut off all these jacked up parts. It's not too bad.
I'm almost done with the back.
We're just going to roll with that and see what happens. For that bit, what I'm actually going to do is I'm not going to sand that off. I'm actually going to take my little X-Acto knife over here and just kind of cut it off. Yeah. So a little hand broom is like one of the best freaking tools that you can have around your shop. Especially when you do a lot of sanding and you get coated in freaking dust all the time. It's awesome. I'll find out where I put my X-Acto knife. See guys, this is what happens when I actually reorganize things like I did last weekend after the stream. I went ahead and just totally reorganized my garage. It's where all the magic happens. Actually going to do here is take our trusty little X-Acto knife and very carefully
See, even this is nice and pressed. A nice, clean, pressed garment. One of the rules of couture sewing is to keep it perfectly pressed. No joke. I'm going to press these two pieces together. Press these two pieces. Just nope.
One thing you might notice as I'm working on this, I'm not cutting in all the way in this, and I'm not really moving my hand, my right hand that's holding the knife so much as actually just rotating the piece around it.
That sound is so beautiful.
What?
I said that sound is so beautiful.
Is it now?
Mm-hmm. It's the sound of progress. It's the sound of forgiveness. So hope everyone watches this when they come back from Anime Matsuri. I need more caffeine.
Kind of keep in mind that while you're cutting, if you're having to cut some of the stuff out here, I'm not as worried about cutting a little bit too deep. Of course, I don't want to make huge gouges into it or anything like that, but if it's a little too deep, it's not the end of the world. It is so thin that when I actually put gesso over this, it's going to seal that off and fill it. If you're actually using an X-Acto knife, now if you're using like a kitchen knife or some other BS like that, you should probably stop what you're doing right now. Because it will not work. Not very well. I'm just going to go in here and trim off some of this little excess up here. It can get sanded off and probably will get sanded nice and smooth later. But my knife makes a bit quicker work of it than my sander will, or my Dremel. And I can actually focus more on with the Dremel, making it nice and or might even be able to skip the Dremel thing altogether and just go straight to my file. I'm just kind of run my knife along it backwards. So raise up some of these little areas here where it just kind of folded over.
I'm almost done with the whole backside. Why am I sewing this quickly? This is weird. I don't sew princess garments this quickly. Seth, can you offer an explanation for this sorcery? Huh?
So it's because it's Weiss and you don't want to disappoint her.
Because she's a fashionista?
Yes.
And because I'm the cause waifu? And one thing, you will stab yourself with pins a lot in sewing. I do it all the time. And things I should not even be stabbing myself with. Like, I just stabbed myself in the stomach with it.
Yeah, I would not recommend doing that. Sharp objects are sharp, guys.
And right now I'm removing some of the pins as I sew. Just because I'm sewing so quickly, I don't want to accidentally catch one and have one fly into my eye. I've had that happen, but I'm wearing glasses. I just don't feel like grabbing my glasses.
Don't always blindly trust your lines there, your eyes while you're doing your lines and everything. Kind of see and part of this where mine got a little off there, and I just kind of had to use my best judgment while cutting it. This is going to get shaped up. Pretty good, shaping of it. Right about now with my file. You guys are probably asking yourselves, do I really need a needle file for every time I decide to use insulation foam boards and stuff like that? Probably not. But this is a very intricate piece and requires a bit more intricate detail from me. Typically, I don't use files for crap.
Language.
Projects that alright, can happen. If you happen to be doing projects where you do need them, then you should probably get some. Hardware tools are great. That's where I get a lot of my small hand tools and stuff like that. So, I'm going to do with my flat file. Also, pro tip, be more organized than Seth.
Definitely be more organized than Dezzy and Seth combined, because we lose stuff in front of our faces. I'm almost done with this back panel. I just have to sew the other back panel and finish that scene.
Cool. How are you going to do the applique on the back?
Remember, you made me the glyph, and I lost that file, so you're going to have to send it to me again, and I was going to heat transfer it on.
Yeah, I could easily send it to you again, because I uploaded it to one of the RWBY groups that I'm a part of. Another pro tip, if you have files that you're sending your friends for free, you might as well go ahead and upload them to groups that you're in for free, unless you plan on selling them. Simply because people lose crap before they have a chance to actually use it.
Especially if you're Dezzy. You lose everything that your boyfriend gives you. The seams open. It's on the other side. And every time you start a scene, don't forget to backpack it. Keeps it nice and secure. Where my foot pedal gun, there it is. Our friends is teasing me about me losing things. If you're watching the stream. I always lose stuff. Like, seriously. I've lost my glasses on my face before.
You managed that, but okay.
Oh, you know me. Come on. You know what that's like. Within the realm of possibilities. I've only lost them on my face God knows how many times. Don't judge me.
I'm adding just a slight
Huh?
I'm adding just a slight bevel to this. images here.
Now, time to remove all of these wonderful pins.
Even if the design did not call for this bevel here, I'd probably go ahead and put it in anyways, just because it's almost like the pommel piece or the stop. It's going to kind of stop your hand from really going any further down the shaft here and losing hold of your staff. I don't know how he actually swings it in the game. I have not seen any gameplay footage of how he actually uses this thing. But even if he's going to swing it like this, you know, he's got this piece right here that's wider that's stopping his hand from it flying out of his hand. So that's kind of the purpose behind why I would do the bevel there, because if it's that sharp angle there, it's a lot of time if that happens. And yeah, I know it's a weapon. Hey, you can hurt yourself with a weapon. They're supposed to be designed for your comfort of holding them and wielding them.
And the back panel is done. So both front panels and the back panels are completed for Weiss's coat dress. So here's the finished back panel. Doesn't look like much, but it'll look awesome on me. I hope.
It will.
Shut up.
Make me.
I can't say it. Damn it.
No, you can't.
Hate you.
I know. So, if you guys are listening and have any questions about anything that we're actually doing here, why did you do a certain thing this way? How would you do this way? Or just want to throw out a little suggestion or something like that while we're working on stuff like, hey, did you know you could actually seal it this way or whatever? Feel free to mention that in the chat. We don't bite.
Only a little bit.
If you ask nicely, I guess. But, and it's kind of showing how it is here, all nice and in shape now. This is a bit fatter than what it's actually going to turn out to be, simply because I haven't put the designs in here yet. It's going to be more engraving that gets under, and other pieces get trimmed down, shaved down, routed in, and everything. Again, I do overlays, but overlays can be tricky with this material, especially in the shapes and the complex curves that this thing has. Overlays would probably not work out very well. So it's just easier for me to go ahead and route it in while I'm going ahead and doing that anyways. It just takes a steady hand for the most part, and patience. Don't bite off more than you can chew at a time. So start slow and just kind of slowly route in just a little bit at a time, like I kind of do for here. You know, I start in very, very shallow. I know it's hard to imagine because this isn't very deep on this side here. But I slowly make my way around and actually get it in as deep as I need to. And I do the same thing for this this part right here. And it's basically what I'll end up doing down here with different pieces and different parts.
Alright, I'm pinning it. I always hate pinning front panels. It's easier for dresses for me because they normally piece together before you do them. But when it's like a couch, I always get mixed up. So I'm just pin 3,000 times before you sew it. And I'm actually going to finish the seam slightly different. Instead of pressing it open, I'm going to press it to one side and then stitch it down for extra stability, since these shoulder seams get a lot of wear and tear. Oh my god, I'm like almost done with this outfit. Holy crapola. There are not going to be that many progress pictures because it's going to be pretty much recorded. So, woo!
I'm actually doing a bevel on the bottom half of this too. I know I keep going off screen here. There we go. Part of that is to match this little part right here that got a bit messed up. So I actually left over trimming and everything. Another reason is just to kind of match the top piece there, because it looks a little weird to me if you have this top piece that's kind of curving into this up here, and then you have like this bottom piece that's all flat and
where are my super shoes?
This weapon is very ornate, as you can actually see there. So it's almost like they kind of planned it to be like gorgeous while it kills the main characters.
So it's beautiful death?
Yes.
Okay, at least didn't make a shitty pattern this time. And all I'm going to do is just even this seam out and then trim it. Press it to one side and then stitch. And I think I'm going to press it to the back side. Oh, it looks like he's got that. There we go. My sleeve piece keeps getting hot.
All right.
And here we go. And then I'm going to edge stitch it for stability. And edge stitching means you're just stitching a 1/4 inch away from the seam line on the stitching person. And that's just going to give it a little bit of stability to the seam.
Completely unnecessary when I stopped being a moron and actually realized, hey, Seth, tanning sponges, those are a thing.
Yeah, Seth, sanding sponges are a thing.
And I have some. It's always good to keep sanding sponges on hand.
And thank you to everyone watching our stream. We appreciate it, and it obviously keeps us motivated. Well, mostly keeps me from being distracted, because now I feel I have to do something. So I guess next week on our live stream, I will be working again on Wiss. This is my final for my class. So of course, you know, this is priority. Because grades are important. My favorite thing about this suiting material is that it doesn't fray, so I don't have to finish the same if I want to, but contour sewing means I have to do contour sewing.
You notice that while I'm doing this piece here, I'm actually moving both of my hands at the same time in this kind of motion here. It's because this part here is kind of at this angle, and I want it to kind of rotate around like this, but I also want it to catch this angle here. It doesn't look as menacing while it's all painted blue and everything and all nice. It looks like friggin' Easter.
What did I do with my binding? There it is. Okay. I wanted to see what I did with the binding. So far, it is coming together very nicely. Now it's time for the sleeves. I'm going to remove my pin, and I'm going to grab from my little box, well, that little clutch here, little marking pencil, so I can mark the ease point. And the ease points are so you get that sleeve cap shape you need in your set pin. So this is just so I can mark them. I'm using actually a Prisma colored pencil, which I really shouldn't be using, but
You can kind of see that this actually looks dirtier now. This isn't a clean, fresh sanding sponge. Might have been sanding some primer, some gray primer. Just like with the top piece there. I kind of do like doing that because it actually doesn't really like color this a lot up here, but it does give it a different color slightly, different shade there. So I can actually, when I go into doing the engraving part, I can actually see it a lot better, see what, how deep I'm actually putting in there and everything. Because sometimes with some pieces, especially with this epoxy putty here, once you start engraving into that, it looks the same. It all looks the same. You cannot really discern where you've engraved to where you have not for the most part. Part of that is attributed to the amount of freaking dust that there is on that. But that just kind of bunches up and builds up because it's not as light as the foam does. The foam dust just kind of flies off everywhere. This dust, it kind of just sits and settles right back to where it was. It doesn't go anywhere.
right now I'm working on the sleeve hem before I actually like to do that because I find it a lot easier to do in this phase. So I just press and steam.
I think I'm actually about ready to
Move on.
draw lines to go on here.
Some starch. I'll pull that crispness. And I'm doing a basic just turn and then stitch down. Except it's being hemmed up in one inch. One thing about suiting that I actually don't like is the difficulty pressing new pieces in it. So I'm actually going to pin, stitch, and then that might help a bit. I just realized something. Weiss's sleeves have black trim.
Yep. You do.
I'm going to look for more trim and I will be right back.
Good job. You might notice that I'm actually drawing this on with pencil first. This is so I can actually just get my design on here. And I'll actually go in with a marker and really go over all my outlines there.
Alrighty, well, I actually have more trim. And by the look of it, it's thick black trim. So, I'm going to do is cut some of what I was actually going to have to actually make it easier. Where are my scissors? Dezzy lost her scissors, damn it.
Big surprise.
I know, right? We're gonna constantly lose stuff, I swear. Seriously, where do my scissors go? I'm making pictures, but I can't find the scissors. These are like my dressmaking shears, so they're the good scissors. I need to find my scissors. Found them. Okay. So I pressed up 1/2 inch and I actually marked it. So what I'm going to do instead is just cut that 1/2 inch mark. Take my thick bias binding. And then I'm going to pin and stitch it. So how's the cropping going over there, Mr. Fishmonkey?
Pretty well. You just look at it and I can actually show you. Unfortunately, this isn't one of those parts where I've actually got it set up to where I can show this on camera very well.
Did I hear Oshi?
You might have. It's very possible.
Yeah, that's Oshi.
Okay.
actually going to read this. I'm very meticulous about my penning when it comes to bias findings.
Dezzy's meticulous about something. Stop the fucking presses.
Oh, shut up. You know I'm meticulous about quite a lot of things, actually. Mainly just with, like, my sewing and costuming. And my cooking.
And since I've gone over this pretty well with pencil, all I've got to do is trace over this real quick with my black marker.
Alrighty. So the one thing I love about Weiss's alternate outfit is the high contrast between the black and white. So as you can see, it looks very, very elegant in my opinion. So one thing I'm going to do now is edge stitch the binding to the sleeve hem. Edge stitching is when you're doing it 1/8 from the edge of whatever it is you're pretty much sewing it to. And with this, I'm using my white all-purpose thread for a high contrast.
Oh, you and your contrast.
But doesn't it look great on the finished product?
I guess.
How dare you?
How dare I?
How dare you, Seth? It's not wanting to sew. Let me try it.
Look, sewing machine, I know you might like me and my mentality, but it's probably not best to exert that. So this is kind of how that's going along there.
That's nice.
Got it drawn on, and all these black spots is actually where it's going to be engraved. Like this right here, though, is going to get engraved in. All this stuff here is going to get engraved. It's going to be engraved in and everything. Just to kind of show you guys where that's going to be. Basically, it's going to look the same as this crap up here, but it's going to be down here with a slightly different design. And all kind of close together, like the rest of it.
And since edge stitching is a decorative stitch, take it slow. That way it's nice and precise. Oh my god. I have to resew everything.
Why is that?
I have been basting it this whole time.
That explains why I was going quicker, I think. Does it?
The thing is, to be completely honest, I think with how my thread tension, it doesn't even look like it's at a 4mm stitch length. It looks like it's at the 2.5. But it was set at 4. And it's not pulling apart like it's at the basting stitch. I'm strength testing this right now and it's not coming apart. So yeah, so I'm strength testing these seams right now. That way I know if I have to restitch it or not. And so far, it seems like I don't have to. They're not pulling apart. And a basting stitch, you know, is meant to be pulled apart when you tug at the seam. And it ain't coming undone. Someone loves me today. Like, seriously. But here's how it looks when you have a high contrast edge stitching. It's just pretty nice. You have to be far more precise. Yeah, it's been sewing a 2.5 millimeter seam stitch even when it was set at 4. That's awesome. I mean, I don't have to go back and do anything. I don't think you realize how happy that makes me because I was like so scared for a moment. So now I'm going to set this to a basting seam. Let's see if it bastes. And this is because I need to ease stitch for the sleeve cap to give it the shape. It looks like it's still doing it too. Alright. I turned my machine on not super quick, and that seems to have done the trick. I mean, that's pretty awesome. That I don't have to go back and do anything. What do you think?
Yeah.
I was tugging at that stuff pretty hard, and it's holding. Because, you know, a basting stitch should pop when there's too much stress on that seam, and it didn't pop.
I don't know anything about basting stitches, but okay.
A basting stitch is a temporary stitch. And it was set to do a basting stitch. But it was sewing at the length to actually hold everything together.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. Saves me a lot of frustration. And this is why you ease the sleeve cap, because it creates that shape. And every pattern, I always hate it. They tell you to fucking sew the sleeve after you've sewn the side seams. No, 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 no. In couture sewing, because it's more work than need be, we actually sew the sleeve before we sew the side seam. So here's what we do. We'll match arm's eye to arm's eye. Try and match this up.
Wait, you mean you actually sew the sleeve on before you actually do the side seam?
Yeah. It makes it a lot easier.
Really?
Hell yeah, it does.
Huh. Then again, I've never had any problems like sewing on sleeves. Like,
oh no, it makes it a lot easier. It reduces
stuff, and I'm just like, I've never had really any issues doing them. It's like lapels that have really given me issues.
It reduces puckering in the seam, and it's a faster process. So you match up just the little notch part. Get ready to sew that bitch together. But it's one thing we actually do in couture sewing other than in jackets. Because in jackets we have to do the shoulder pad and you have to actually sew it the standard way to install the shoulder pad. So I have to do that with your couture jacket. So kill me now.
So there's actually part of this right here that none of the reference images really show very well. This game was made for the Wii, which did not have high resolution. It was not an HD system at all.
Hey, we have to go stay at my parents' tonight. My mom hasn't really slept since Grandma had surgery. So that means the dogs are going to be here. You don't really have to do anything with them, just so...
Okay.
If for some reason you wake up and decide you want to...
Since there's really no high resolution images of this staff here, what I'm basically about to have to go in and do is there's a small detail part of this that is not very clear. And I don't feel like just putting a dot or some other BS on here. So I'm either going to draw on there and carve in what will fit in with the weapon, or maybe see if he's got any other symbols on him, on his clothing, that actually can go here instead. It's just such a minor piece that I could actually even just ignore it. But
that's the perfectionist?
Yeah, I'm a perfectionist with this crap, and I like to make it nice and freaking awesome. Plus, it gives some more detail to it, and from my understanding, they are planning on going and competing in the contest with this.
Make sure they give you
with their
credit.
costume, so... Do what?
Make sure they give you credit.
I know she will. I trust Melissa. This is actually a friend of mine that I'm making this for. She's my first client and a friend. She was actually the one that first approached me ever about doing commissions and stuff like that. So I let her know when I was opening up for commissions, hey, I'm doing a thing. Too detailed.
Yeah, I've commissioned stuff and I've had clients enter contests or enter like even just like contests on Facebook and not credit the work I did. And it really makes me sad. Because I put a lot of effort in every commission that I do.
Yeah. I mean, if it ever gets to the point where people aren't giving me due credit for stuff and actually going into contests with my work and stuff like that, I'll actually start engraving into it or something like that, stamping it or something like that. For this kind of thing, I'm not going to worry about it. Of course, it would be like somewhat discreet, but still there, enough to where while a judge is looking over for prejudging or whatever, they're going to see. Yeah, they'll notice it. But again, I'm not going to worry about that on this one because I'm trusting my friend here, and also I will probably be entering the contest as well.
Oh, cool! True Night Earrings?
Yeah, probably.
Good luck.
I'm certainly not entering as Tank Top Lover. I didn't make crap for that, other than you want to consider creating the file to do the shirt design. This bottom piece here is just this section in general. There's actually not a lot of reference images for. This is actually one of those that even when I went to go and like show people this prop that asked me about like what I'm working on, finding just a freaking image of the thing was a pain in the ass. So I'm actually really glad that she sent me basically all the reference images I have needed. I have not needed a single other reference image other than what she has sent me. I picked out the best ones that I had that were there, the most clear ones, and actually went with it. So I think we've mentioned before, if you were planning on commissioning somebody to do a prop for you, odds are you've probably already looked into all the details and stuff on it to decide you don't want to make it yourself. And it's always really, really awesome and speeds up the process if you send them all of your reference images for it.
Especially with garments.
Yeah.
Front, back, side, every view you can send us for anything helps tremendously.
Yeah. So say like this piece here, I don't have anything for what goes right here. I just kind of browse through my images there, and I don't have a single thing for what goes there. So I'm probably just going to get creative for the most part. The only info that I have to go on is that it does not come into the front piece here. None of that design comes into the front, so it's all on the side here. So I might make something similar to what's going on right here, just so it all just kind of meshes in together a bit more. I don't like the idea of just having it blank. So I'm going to try to see if I can do something with that, just again, so it all kind of blends together and everything.
That way it's like a uniform thing.
Do what?
Like it's a uniform thing.
Yeah, like it's actually meant to be there, because the more it actually looks like it's meant to be there, the less a judge or anybody else really looks at it and says, huh, that was not supposed to be there. Some people that actually know part of the design by memory or something like that, might notice, hey, that actually wasn't part of the original design, but hey, it works. Usually, as long as it meshes well together, unless they're sitting there staring at it for 5 minutes, they might not
catch it.
Note it. Yeah. One of the other tricky parts of doing this, since these pieces are obey and they're not like round, one of the tricky parts is everything together, keeping it all straight, keeping the design all nice and straight. I had to line up this top piece when I was gluing on this bottom piece, just to make sure it was nice and perfectly straight, or as perfect as I could get it. I can't notice any difference there. Doesn't mean nobody else will. Or not. But again, in passing, and even possibly in self notice, a judge isn't going to sit there and go, how exactly straight is this thing here? I'm going to look it over like this. Everything. Also, they're not concerned how well this was constructed when they know, hey, they commissioned this thing, so I'm not going to judge them on how well the prompt turned out. Unless we were actually entering contests together, and then if we can say, hey, I made all this, she made all this, and stuff like that, then they might look it over, but I've never seen or heard of any judge actually going that far into it. It's such a minute thing that unless you're extremely well seasoned and doing this kind of thing and actually have it set up to make it absolutely perfect, it's not going to be, as long as it's not too noticeably screwed up.
Weiss is getting done.
Yeah.
I get to be one of your wifers.
Yep. or one of Jean's waifus. Weiss is nice and all.
Huh?
So I did finally actually find an image that has that. It's very transparent for the most part, but if I look closely, I can actually see it actually is supposed to be blank right here. Which is really weird that they left this part right here for the most part blank. Like the design on this side and the other side, they kind of connect together across here. But it's really weird how they left that blank. I'm probably just going to roll with it for the sake of, well, accuracy, kind of. But it's just kind of weird to me that they left that blank. Where they went into so many different details on the rest of this, and then, they just didn't even bother to put anything there. I thought they would have gone with, like, the circle motif that they had going on or something. There are other designs on his outfit here that theoretically could be incorporated into this for this little part right here. This little part like right here that there's supposed to be like something on there. I'm not going to do that. Because they are very intricate designs that would match, that would, it would go well there, kind of. But they're so intricate, you would lose the detail in the engraving process and everything. Just because I don't have fine enough tools to do that. And also, nobody would ever notice it. So I'm probably going to go with just something that works well on there, that you can kind of notice, but doesn't have to be absolutely perfect.
Weiss is getting done.
It almost looks like a 6-pointed star from this reference here. That's almost what it looks like. I'm probably not going to do that. I might. Let me see. Because of how the textures are in this game, all my references are actually screenshots where you actually get to see a lot of Brute here. I don't know if this is like right before the last battle or something like that. There's a lot of different shots of Brute here that you can really see. And because, like I was mentioning a minute ago, the Wii was not an HD system. So it did not have the resolution to really show all of these fine engraved details, which is probably how they actually had it envisioned in the game to be. But some of them just ended up being like, they look like they're painted on in there. I like the idea of having them engraved more. Painting them would be a lot simpler. I would probably be just about done by now if all it was painting. But I like to go a bit more above and beyond and deliver a bit more there. For a couple of reasons. One, that's because I'm Game That Cosplay. I'm a prop maker. That's what I do. And another reason is just because I can. It looks more badass that way. It feels more badass that way. It is more badass that way. Because that's how I roll. Drawing this other side on here. Unfortunately, again, you can't really see what I'm up to over here, how I'm drawing it on. Basically, I'm drawing that on that side. That's right. That is going on that side, like the rest of this whole thing. It's very symmetrical, which bugs the crap out of me. But that's just because I got to make it absolutely perfect.
Because Seth is OCD.
Yeah. What I usually like to do to make this all nice and straight is I'll actually just draw a horizontal line all the way around, and since this is all getting painted over anyways, it doesn't matter, even if I did it in marker. Just at different reference points, like the top and bottom of this piece here. Top and bottom of this piece here will get horizontal lines through them. I might do it like right up here as well. And then kind of from there, I don't have calipers, so I just kind of take my hands and do them almost as though they were like calipers. I'll hold that position there and then pinch it in a little bit on the other side. And as per usual, these are guidelines. They are not meant to be absolutely perfect. Somewhere along the lines, I might end up changing a little bit how this is going on here. Usually this is determined by how much I screw things up. That's right. Try your best every time not to screw up, but always realize you are going to. You are going to make mistakes, and that is okay.
It's always okay to make mistakes. We do it all the time.
Just keep in mind what you can do to fix those and prepare for them. Usually, I just wing it.
You wing something? What?
Yeah, absolutely no surprise here that I just wing it. But there's my cat crying for me.
You're needy fucking cat.
Yeah, I have a very needy cat, so I do apologize for anybody that actually hears him howling for me.
He's adorable.
One side there.
Huh? Okay, right now I'm putting in inseam pockets. That way I have pockets in my damn cosplay. Isn't that awesome? Put this up here. Ooh, my machine's making ugly noises at me today. It's so angry at me. It's not sewing.
I will be right back.
Well, my Robin decided to unpack.
That's kind of where we're at right now. Where you can't see.
So what else needs to be done?
Do what?
What else needs to be done?
Well, first I gotta finish drawing on all these designs for the bottom piece. And, for other parts of this, like this part up here, I actually, I think there were like parts that I drew on first, and like I engraved the top part and drew on the rest of the bottom and everything, and then started doing that. For this bottom piece here, I'm actually going to just like draw everything on and engrave it all at once, probably.
Oh, nice.
What we'll probably have time to do today is go ahead and finish the design piece, or the design part. And then throughout the rest of the weekend, probably work on it.
When I section the inseam pocket, I actually normally scissor twice. And that's just to make sure the seam is nice and stable. And I think my mom keeps messaging me.
One little tip here is you're probably not going to get each side exactly symmetrical to each other. When you have part of the design here where you see one side at a time, focus more on actually getting each half of that one side symmetrical to each other rather than trying to get it exactly the same as the other side. Because that way, when you look at the two of them, you're only looking at one side at a time here. You can't even see what's on this part yet because I haven't gone over it with marker yet. But, you know, you're only looking at one side at a time. And unless you totally make it different, totally screw it up, yeah, you're probably not even going to notice.
Apparently my voice is echoing now. According to my mom, my voice is echoing now. So, do you have me like on a speaker setting under Garage?
Yes, I do.
Then that's why it's echoing.
Yeah, sorry, she has to be on speaker for me because I'm out in my garage. I do not have a headset to wear out here, and even if I did, I would not wear it. The less dangling pieces I have on me while operating equipment, the less likely I am to get caught in it.
And I don't want to get it.
Well, I won't be dead. I'll just be missing some fingers or something like that.
That's pretty bad.
I mean, not while I'm doing this. You know, obviously, this pencil isn't gonna lob off a finger, but not while I'm on it by accident. But
Here we go. And I'm only putting one pocket in because I'm lazy. I'm very lazy. So just one pocket is where it needs to go.
is my crow jacket getting no pockets?
You're wearing pants! Why do I have to put pockets in it? Do you want pockets?
I love pockets.
Now I have to put pockets
I'm
in
kidding, sweetheart. You don't have to put pockets in it. I will be wearing pants.
Thank you.
Although pockets would be badass.
Now you're going to make me want to put pockets in it.
You do realize that when we do Fear's Deity, you're probably going to be carrying all of my, like, money and stuff. IDs
What
and stuff
pocket?
like that. You might be carrying a purse. I don't know. My hands will be full, though. I won't be able to carry a purse or anything.
That's right, I can't have you fully.
That's what happens when you're Fear's Deity.
But we'll be
Anyways,
so
you've got,
awesome.
like, one side and then the other side. One side, then the other side. Because, again, they're not exactly the same. If you sit and stare at each side long enough, you know, you'll start to pick up on that more. But they just kind of need to be more symmetrical to themselves than they are to each other.
Guess what comes after I sew the rest of the coat? Color and look
I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Just checking on the dogs. One of them was barking about something, but I guess our small little Jack Russell Terrier decides he wants to get everybody worked up, and he's upset because my roommates have gone for the evening. They went over to her parents' house because her grandmother had surgery earlier this week, and they're trying to help take care of her so her mom can relax. So this here feels very comfortable to hold. And will feel more comfortable once I actually get everything on here.
Dun, dun, dun.
I still can't believe in their design, they decided to leave this part blank here. I just can't get over that.
Well, it saves you some work.
It saves me some work, kind of, but
You're irritated
I
by
can't
it?
get over that. I'm so shocked. That is just so shocking. The way they've designed this whole thing here, and that one part, they're just like, ah, fuck it. I'm gonna be lazy. And I'm just sitting here like, going through all this work, making sure, there's stuff on all of these other parts up here and everything, and then just this one part, they're like, screw that. I don't want a part of that. So what I've kind of decided to do for like this little part here, this little detail piece, is just a little diamond shape there. The reason I decided to go with that instead of really any other intricate design or star or something like that is because I've actually been seeing that in other places on here. You've got like it's almost like a diamond shape here and kind of like one going on here. As well as on the head of it, there's a little section there that it still has, diamond shape here. Where the hell else did I have something like that? Oh, I was going to here as an added detail, but I did not follow through with that one. But that seems to be a bit of it fits the motif just as well to do that. So that's kind of what I'm sticking with, is just trying to follow along the motif, which is anytime you're actually working on a costume, or anything for that matter, that's a replica, and you're thinking of changing part of the design, the most important thing, the single most important thing is actually that you stick with the motif. If you have to change part of the design, or figure it out on your own. Because if you don't, it stands out. Even if it's like a small little detail like that, it would kind of stand out if I put like a freaking skull there or some shit. I don't really have space for it, but if I put a skull there and they're looking over this prop, they're going to go, what the hell is this? Or if it was a larger piece, especially, it would stand out a lot more.
Yeah.
Typically, it's like the larger pieces where it really matters. That's such a small little detail. I could honestly not even put something there and it'd still be okay, probably. Just because I would probably forget about it on my drive up to Dallas. And would probably not even think to mention, hey, I just decided not to do a thing. And, nobody would ever really notice. And then I would probably remember later on down the line, hey, there's a thing that I forgot to do, and remember it for the next 17 years. Always
my
before I'm about to go to bed.
Oh my god, you would.
Fortunately, there's no ornate design on this whole tip piece here, which is like a freaking blessing. But there is on this part, so now to actually start doing that. And shout out to like the 3 people that are actually watching this right now and sticking with it.
Hi, Mom!
Oh, yeah. Hello, Dezzy's mom. Okay. That's going to be fun.
Right now, I'm sewing one of the sides together. Since it has the top.
I'm sorry if I go off camera here. Again, I'm not at all used to doing this on camera, but I have to be more focused right now on actually doing the design here.
Okay.
I'm just kind of penciling it on here, but it does actually kind of engrave into it a bit as well in this part, because the pencil it has a sharp point to it.
Sharp pointy thing.
Yeah.
Take out this and I'm gonna finish this next one. But it's sewn with a pocket.
Yay, pockets. My favorite.
But do you really want pockets in your pro jacket?
I don't care. I'm gonna have pants on anyways. I would like an inside pocket though, just like an inside flap to hold a.
And the lining?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. So that'll just be a patch pocket in the lining. That's not hard.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be anything fancy. You can just bullshit that thing. I want something to hold my flask in.
The flask we can go be ready.
Do what?
I think it's so ironic you're doing crow because you don't drink and crow's an alcoholic.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's irony for you. If you've ever wondered what irony looks like, that is it right there.
And you're Irish. Like, it's just a double there. Which will be funny. I can't curve and turn it around. Although Winter's shoes are going to be like a bitch to make. There is a pin that is like really stuck in there.
Here we go with another one of these parts where I'm just having to like guess.
I'm just gonna wing it.
Because there's kind of a view of this part here, but there's not enough of one for me to really be sure of exactly if there's nothing there, if there's something there, if there's something there, what is it? So I'm just kind of going with my best judgment here and going along with the motif.
There's be darling fashionista with actually like voice maker. For those of you that can see, here's the coat dress. It's a double-breasted coat dress with princess lines. And there's going to be a petticoat under it, so it has feet, and it has a pocket. Okay. I'm gonna next fast turn. But it looks really good. I'm impressed with how much I've grown as a seamstress. Where's my bike?
in this design here and show you guys how it's supposed to look when it is finished.
Some reference images so you can
They chose a weird way to design that piece, but that's kind of where we're at with it. Right there. This is actually the part I was talking about a minute ago there, where there was a very clear actual image of what the hell is supposed to go there. I'm just kind of working with what I've got here. The only image that I have actually showing that angle there is the same one that told me that there was absolutely nothing here. I could actually see the design go across here, but it's at the point where this is actually showing up in that image with this part down here. It's not clear enough what is actually supposed to be there. There might be something different there. There might be this. There might not be anything there, which again would be really weird, but I guess that would not surprise me if they got lazy as hell at the bottom of this thing. That whole game seems like they really were desperate to just get a sequel thrown out there and not know what the hell they were doing with it. Could not get past a meal. Lying little bastard. Kid's one ear than my cat. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at on this thing tonight. We started out with a very, very basic shape, or I started out with that tonight. You guys got to see this kind of in shape-ish. But, you know, it got rounded out and everything and really, you know, put into shape there to where it is now. And now I have all my designs on there. There's some things that still need to be drawn on, like the inside circle part to this. But pretty much it's ready to engrave in.
Nice.
It's ready to go. And before I actually start the engraving, I do want to go ahead and put some of that epoxy putty up here. There are some pieces where there are like corner pieces. I tried to get those as filled with Gorilla Glue as I could. For a couple reasons. One, because glue, I want it to adhere. I want it to be done well. Two, because it fills that in and it's really rigid and hard. But I was going to have to do the epoxy putty over this part anyway, so I'm probably going to cut out these little areas where there's a few little divots in here. You can kind of see it in the light there. There's a bubble instead of the reason I'll cut that out instead of just going over it with the putty. The putty is going to adhere better to this PVC here and actually, covering that up over there. This way I don't have to worry as much about that open area right there. And then it's less crap for me to fill in later. Notice I spend a lot of time actually working on, making sure everything is, about as perfect as I can get it. Because filling's a pain in the ass. And also it makes it take longer to actually finish it. I've only got like 4 weeks until SalioCon. That is my deadline for this. I cannot... At that point, that weekend, this thing has to be done and ready to deliver.
Good luck. Good luck.
And thank you.
Believe in you.
I'm just kind of cutting away some of this extra crap here that's just kind of overlapping. There's actually a pretty good bit of this spot right here that has overlap to it. So what I'll probably do is just take some Gorilla Glue and squirt it up in there a bit. It's going to foam out. Gorilla Glue foams. It's not going to be a big deal. Kind of dents in a little bit right here, but I'm not so sure I'm really going to worry about that so much because it's not like up here where most of the gripping's being done. All is going on possibly right here, but their hand over that spot. Part right here would be like very delicate for that. This one kind of would be, but since it's so further away from the tip here, it's not a big deal. This one right here, I might cut out or just kind of glaze over. I'll figure that one out in a little bit. Either way, that one's not going to really make as much of a difference whether I do or don't. Because kind of lines up with it. But I'm going to go ahead and cut it out, though. Or actually, this glue adhered well to the foam, but it did not adhere as much to the PVC in one little spot right there. So it kind of right there. Again, these are just spots that I'm going to actually glaze over with the repair putty. This isn't going to be Bondoed or anything like that. I'm trying to avoid using Bondo as much as possible with this material. But I'm going to go ahead and again, in here, there's a bit of overlap there. I'm going to shoot some of that Gorilla Glue down in there, let it drip down in this spot right here, and, it'll foam out and everything. From there, I can, cut it, sand it, and everything. It's a very nice, rigid glue when it dries. Takes about an hour or so, but it's nice when it does dry. As far as the rest of this crap goes on here, I'm probably going to worry about it later just kind of do the glue tonight and pick up some more of that epoxy putty on my way home tomorrow from work, and then, just kind of get to it and go over stuff. But I think I'm going to call it quits there for the night. I actually made a lot of progress on this bottom piece, got it all shaped up, and the design is ready to just engrave in just about. Dezzy, you got any last words before signing off here tonight? Dezzy? Also have to forgive me if she kind of walks away and I don't see that or anything like that, because I can't see what's going on through her camera just because of the way our broadcasting works at the moment. I am going to go ahead and take this opportunity to do a little test fit real quick. Show everything together. Positioned all on camera here.
To grab some buttons, because I'm actually finishing this a lot faster than I thought I would. So what are you working on now?
I'm actually pretty well calling it quits for the night.
Calling it quits for the evening?
Yeah, it's about midnight here. It's like 11:30.
Oh my god, already? Holy shit.
Yes. I'm going to see if I can actually show this whole thing here. This camera is a pain in the ass. Yay, randomly get a tour of Seth's shitty garage. And of course, fluorescent light washes everything out, so you can't even see any of the details there. So, let me see if I can fix up the light real quick. Show off this whole thing. There we go, that's a lot better. So there you got the top of it. And you can kind of see there's that little bitty gap there between the handle piece and the head of the staff there. I'm probably going to stick some Bondo or something there, or some repair putty at the top piece at the head, and actually sand that down there, just to make that all nice and perfect there. Right now it's being left the way it is just because. And they kind of move on down to the very bottom there, which actually has absolutely no details to show other than its shape. And you can't see all the details on the handle because part of it is done with that epoxy putty stuff, and it dries white and everything, and even when you engrave into it, it's even whiter. So you can't really see it on camera there, but once it's actually all painted and everything, all of these different parts here, the highs and the lows are going to be two different colors. It's going to have some pretty high contrast in there for the most part, but that's where this project is at the moment. Fortunately, I started the live stream after doing the head of this thing for the most part, but that's kind of where we are at the moment on this thing. Hopefully by the time the next show comes along, I will have a lot more of that done. I'll have a lot of the engraving done by then, and also kind of be started on the sealing process. And while I'm doing the sealing process, I'm going to be working on the Buster Sword more, because the sealing process is very boring. It is a lot of, hey, I'm going to put on like a layer of gesso on things, and hey, I'm going to put on more layers of gesso like 10 times or so.
It's just so boring.
I might even do more. I have like 3/4 of a freaking gallon of this stuff to work with, so I'm not too worried about running out. And what was that, Dezzy?
I said it's just so boring.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
You look so disappointed.
There you go. You finally found your gesso pun. That is Dezzy's other achievement for the night, rather than just, her sewing stuff. She finally made a good pun with gesso. Just so you know.
Okay, so you actually like that pun.
Anyways, any last words for the stream tonight, Dezzy?
I wish I could show you the coat, but I'd have to do the side seam for you to see how it fits, but it's coming along really nicely. I'm almost done with it.
Nice. And I'll probably send you that file for the template later.
Okay.
Might be tonight, might be tomorrow, I don't know. Later is sometime in the future. I'll probably get Taco Bell after this or something.
I only talk to you every day until you go to bed, like a creeper.
Yeah, you can just annoy the hell out of me about it, and I'll eventually send it to you.
Hey,
3 days before Acon, hey, here's that file.
Yeah.
Shit.
Seth, fucking asshole.
But anyways, it has been fun tonight, and we will see you guys next week, sometime between apparently 7:30 and 8-ish.
Sorry, I went and got my nails done.
Because it seems here lately, for the most part, we're starting around like sometime in that ballpark and everything. So if you guys tried to tune in at 7:30 and we weren't here, my bad. I'm sorry. Technically, I could have started the stream without her, but the stream quality is shit on my computer and on our internet here. So, anyways.
It has been a wonderful night on Make It So. See ya.
See ya.